how did you get there? If we were to look back and over the past 10 years, like what got you into a space in which you found your magic and you were able to connect and really unlock the magic in other people?
I never in a million years could have foreseen that this is what I'm doing today. I never saw myself being in the digital marketing space or working with these really big names or speaking on stages and impacting thousands of people. And one day at the coffee shop I was working at, one of my friends came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I love you. I love how you see the world. I want to pay you. Can you like shoot my wedding?" And I was like, "I've never shot a wedding before in my entire life. What are you even talking about?" And guys, this changed everything for me because I never thought that I could get paid to do creative services.
Welcome to Unreasonable Autonomy. My name is Sarah Grace. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs and innovators who refuse to settle. Here we dive deep into raw, real conversations with boundary pushers who have pursued seemingly impossible ideas and yet have achieved unreasonable results, whether that's in their faith, relationships, health, politics, yes, even business. All of those conversations are happening right here, right now. So let's buckle up because this isn't about playing it safe. Unreasonable ideas, unstoppable results. Let's go.
Thrilled to welcome to the podcast today, Alyssa Aviles. Alyssa Aviles, best known as Liz, is a Canva and ClickFunnels ambassador, creative director, and educator with 16 years of experience helping entrepreneurs and brands bring their vision to life through bold strategic design. She has worked with nonprofits, agencies, and renowned 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs, including Pedro Adao, Richmond Dinn, Brandon Turner, and other high-profile brands that she can't mention because she's under an NDA. She empowers and educates people how to rediscover their creativity and overcome tech overwhelm. When she's not designing, you'll find her supporting local businesses, playing video games, or hanging with her dog. Let's get ready to chat. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. It is Sarah Grace. So excited to be here with you today, but way more excited that we get to have Liz in the room. Liz, how's it going? Welcome.
What's up? I'm so stoked to be here with you.
This is so good. We have been like friends by association for far too long. And I'm like, I've got to get this girl in the room. Luckily, I have a podcast and now you can be in the room. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm thrilled that you're here.
I'm so stoked. When you sent me a message, I was like, yes, let's have a conversation. This is going to be good. And I could just tell from our mutual friends that we were going to get along.
Yeah. Like you guys, anybody that says your friends don't matter, like they matter. They matter a lot.
Matters 100%.
100%. Well, you guys have already heard her bio. You know all of the millions of reasons why you want to be in her world and associate with her. And if she is new to you, I'm going to let her set the stage a little bit. So the way that I know her is I know her through watching really high, powerful A-listers use her to become even stronger A-listers in the business world, right? Like Pedro Adao, right? Like being able to work with people who are just impacting millions upon millions of people and that there's magic that is going on there. And so I've just kind of observed like, who is this girl that is turning up the heat and the magic on these big A players? And so my big question is how did you get there? Like, how did you get there? If we were to look back and over the past 10 years, like what got you into a space in which you found your magic and you were able to connect and really unlock the magic in other people? Because I just want to hear it. So tell us what got you here.
I love this question. And I love getting to encourage people with this because I never in a million years could have foreseen that this is what I'm doing today. I always thought that I was going to, manage this little hole in the wall coffee shop that was by my college. I was like wanted to manage and own that. I love
it.
Yeah, so fun. And that is like an end goal dream of mine to go back to that. But, I never saw myself being in the digital marketing space or working with these really big names or speaking on stages and impacting thousands of people. And to be honest, like I'm an introvert. I love being behind the scenes. I love being quiet, just kind of like taking a look and seeing what's going on. And so it's kind of fun now being like, there's some days I wake up, I'm like, wow, I can't believe this is my life. Like I just designed a project for another really big name. I don't think I'm allowed to say who it is, but I'm like, I can't believe that this is happening. So to kind of give everyone a backstory, I'm a multi-passionate creative. I have always loved the arts, and my parents, ever since I was little, they always had me in drawing classes or painting classes or sculpture. They're always giving me Play-Doh and crayons. Like, I've always been a creative kid.
Incredible.
Guitars and shoes when I was in high school and college, and I would paint on canvases. I would have stuff in museums, and I always kind of knew I wanted to do something in the creative field. So my thought was, I'll go into advertising. So I sat in my first advertising class, and I very quickly realized I don't want to be the one to come up with the campaigns and the strategy. I want to be the one that makes it look good.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You knew your lane immediately.
Yeah. I'm like, so I think I need to go into the graphic design route. So in order to do graphic design, I had to do certain art classes to do that. So I was learning art at the same time. I was part of a faith-based organization on campus. And the leader knew I was creative. So he came up to me one day and he's like, hey, I will buy Adobe Creative Suites for you if you learn how to do graphic design and you design flyers and shirts and everything for us. And I was a broke college kid. Adobe Creative Suites is like $800. It came on CDs back then.
Yes,
thing, right? And so I was like, yes, I'm totally going to do this. So I'm taking art classes to learn how to professionally design. Now I'm also teaching myself how to do graphic design. At the same time, my dad had given me a camera, and I was just taking photos for the fun of it, taking photos all around, and loved photography. And one day at the coffee shop I was working at, one of my friends came up to me. He's like, hey, I love you. I love how you see the world. I want to pay you. Can you shoot my wedding? And I was like, I've never shot a wedding before in my entire life. What are you even talking about? So he's like, but I want you to do it. And guys, this changed everything for me because I never thought that I could get paid to do creative services. Oh. But this is one of the biggest shifts for me. Have you ever had a moment like that where it's like, oh, I can get paid, to do this?
A little unfair. You feel like you're cheating or right? You're ripping people off, right? Yeah. So very similar. Keep going.
Okay. So I ended up doing photography. Guys, that launched my photography career. And so I started shooting for agencies. I started shooting for nonprofits. I was doing brand portraiture, and a lot of my work was used in marketing campaigns. So now I'm learning marketing lingo. I'm photographing this stuff. I am also still doing graphic design at the same time. Yeah. And long story short, I didn't get into the graphic design program at that school. I had to go to another university to learn graphic design. And before I graduated, I had all these job offers and whatnot. And I was like, I can do this. I'm going to be a freelancer. But I knew nothing about business. And so I launched even though I was making money with photography, I still wanted to do design. So I started freelancing. I was offering photography and design. And it just went bad, guys. It went south. I failed pretty quickly, had to land a full-time graphic design job, which at that point, it was an entry-level graphic design position for $35,000, no benefits. And I very quickly went in and was the graphic designer, the social media manager, the email marketer, the photographer, the in-house print. So I kind of became a creative director out of the gate, still at $35K, no benefits.
I was going to say, what a deal. What a deal. Congratulations to them.
Right. And I didn't know any better because I wasn't in this space, right? In this entrepreneurship space. So I hit a low mentally, as you guys can imagine, when you're doing all those things, you're not getting paid enough. I've got personal things in my life going on. I've got debt piling up. I'm miserable. I'm having emotional breakdowns randomly. I'm going to the grocery store and just crying because, it's just such a heavy weight. So my husband is a mental health therapist. At that time we were, just engaged, and he was like, look, quit your job. You'll figure it out. And I was like, I don't know about that, but okay. And so I quit, decided to freelance again. But again, I knew nothing about business. So I was like, oh man, this is going to go south real fast. So
you knew in that moment, I've got to figure out business.
Yeah.
Was that very clear to you?
Yes, it was. I knew that I really had to figure out this whole business thing. And so I met with a friend of mine for lunch one day, and she was in the entrepreneurship world, and she was getting coaching from Lisa Nichols. And she was like, hey, what you're missing in your business is a mentor. You need a mentor to show you the way. And I was like, but mentors cost money and I'm broke. I can't do that right now. And so she's like, I promise you, if you can find a way to get a mentor, it is going to completely change your life. So I started kind of looking around. I had signed up for one person's mentorship. It honestly wasn't a good fit. They didn't even let you talk to other people in the community. It was just like, you get access to trainings. It was kind of weird.
That was like a course. That was a mentorship anyway. Okay, maybe not.
Right. And so then one day I'm doom scrolling on Facebook. I come across an ad for a guy holding a 2 Comma Club award, which I kind of already knew what that was because I was learning websites at the same time while I'm doing graphic design, photography, and all this stuff. Copy really pulled on my heartstrings, and it was an ad from Pedro Adao. And this is before, and this is before, if any of you guys know who this is before he got big. This is back in 2018. So I click on his funnel. His funnel's not working. It's like red flag after red flag after red flag. I always love joking about this because I'm like, bro, honestly, I don't know why I trusted you. You didn't have a website. You had no branding. Your funnel was broken. It was ugly. And, but there was something about the heart of the copy that really pulled me in. And this is why I'm very, very, very encouraging. And I'm so passionate about people showing up as their authentic magic selves because the heart, where your heart is at, really plays into everything that you do. And so I joined his 30-day free challenge back then, fell in love with the community. I thought that he would be a solid mentor. So I sold everything I could in my house to get in his program, joined his program, and he would teach. It was very clear he didn't have a creative. So he would teach, he would put in a Word document. I would take that. I would make it look really pretty. I would give it back to the group.
Test. Did you freeze?
Oh, no.
Okay. I can see you. Are we good?
I'm good. It didn't freeze on my end.
Okay. It froze on my end. So start back where you said I sold everything. Ready?
Okay. I'll start there. All right. Ready? Okay. So I sold everything to get into his program, and I get in the program. He starts teaching, and it's very clear he doesn't have a designer. So he's putting in Word docs, and I'm like, well, I'm a visual person. So let me make it into something I would like, and I'll give it back to the community. So I did this for a while. Nobody asked me to do it. I just did it because I love this community. I wanted to serve with my skill set. So after a few weeks, he calls me up. He's like, hey, are you doing this stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I promise it's not going anywhere else. And he's like, no, I love it. What do you think about us working together? And there's a lot more to the story that I'm leaving out. You guys can go to my YouTube and watch the full story. There's a lot of faith sort of things in here that kind of led to these decisions. But I started kind of slowly designing for him, and we hit it off pretty well. And then in 2020, right before the pandemic hit, we had been doing challenge marketing. I'm sure you guys have probably talked about challenges at some point on this podcast. And he blew up. And all of a sudden, we're doing challenges with Russell Brunson and Damon John from Shark Tank and Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi and Stu McLaren and all these other big name people in the marketing world. And I'm Pedro's designer doing all the graphics, the funnels, and it was nonstop for 2 years. So that is what got me into this world. And ever since then, I've had the opportunity to design for many other big names, many that are under NDA, which I'm so bummed because they're some of my favorite projects.
We'll talk about it after. Yeah, we'll talk about it after.
I'm like, I love these projects so much. And so it's been amazing. It's been such a learning experience. And I'm just grateful. I'm so grateful at the end of the day. And I'm not going to lie, we're going to talk about this in a bit. It was a lot of work. Some people are like, well, how did you do this? And I'm like, it was a lot of work, a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat, lots of tears, lots of sleepless nights, but I don't regret anything at all. I'm so grateful for that time and experience in my life. So I know that was a little bit longer than a few minutes, but hopefully it gives a good
it's everything we need. And my immediate, the question everybody wants to know is, did you make more than $35,000 a year with Pedro?
I did.
Number one. question.
I did.
Okay.
I made my first figures with Pedro. So I did. It was a big jump, thankfully.
Good. Thank you, Pedro. We will have him on so he can offer his rebuttal experience. We'll go from there. I love this story so much because there's a lot of failure involved in it. And on the flip side of failure, there is still, I am someone who has failed, but I am still going to give with my skill set. Because there's often a tendency when resources are scarce and the bank account is like less than 1,000, that you want to scramble for every dollar. And it's like, maybe I could reach out to Pedro and ask him if I can design this. And so, and get paid for it. And instead of doing that, you just said, whoa, there's kind of a mess here and I'm going to pre-give, right? Which is a marketing principle. It really is a marketing principle and it's a relationship principle. And so the fact you were able to pre-give when stuff was scarce and scary and you had sold everything really shows part of your character and how that has continued to be part of your brand moving forward. I've seen it. So my next question really is actually centered around the world of design. And I know we're going to go into things like burnout and crisis and those things a little bit later, but centered around the world of design, you went and bought from Pedro when it wasn't designed and when the tech wasn't working, and bless his soul, right? Like for him. So why does design matter?
Oh, that's such a good question. And I love that you brought this up too, that I chose him as a mentor when he had nothing to offer in the design world. Because, design it's a visual language. It helps communicate the heart to art. And it's all around us. And people always, because we've kind of been taught over time not to focus on creativity and not to play and not to wonder. And meanwhile, like you go to a grocery store, I always encourage people whenever they're doing like trainings with me, I'm like, next time you go to the grocery store, look at the products that you're buying and ask yourself, well, why am I buying this product? Was it from something that I saw on the label? Is it a brand, right? Brand has a big visual identity. I can talk about branding forever, but think about where things are designed on the label and the colors that they're using and the styles that they're using. And you're going to start noticing that they're communicating in a certain way. And so designing really does carry the heart through things. It lets you kind of see things at another fun and deeper level at the same time. And so, for me, I went with Pedro as a mentor because of the heart. That was the biggest thing that kind of stood out to me. I could tell that he was really valuing people over profit. And I wanted a business mentor. And for me personally, I wanted a faith mentor. I wanted somebody that was in the faith realm and faith circles. And so his copy was about faith and entrepreneurship and the tension between that. And I don't know about you, but like growing up for me, making money was evil and it was really bad. But yet when I went on a mission trip, they were like, oh, well, ask entrepreneurs to chip into your mission trip, right? And I was like, wait a second. And so I went with him because I really want to learn more about that stuff. And it's just been so fun getting to like now mesh design and entrepreneurship together. And I really love encouraging and teaching people how to rediscover their creativity because design is such a crucial way of communicating.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And I do want to dive into your faith background a little bit because there are many people who dive into faith because they're very right-brained and they want to believe in wonder and they want to believe in the parting of the Red Sea and a day of miracles and has that day of miracles ceased and that kind of approach. There's also people who just logically can't explain away that there must be something bigger, right? Mm-hmm. That this can't be the end or that this whatever. And so when you approach your faith, how do you approach it? Like, why do you believe what you believe?
I love that. That's so good. I was raised in a Christian household, went to a Christian school, and the school that I went to, in the church I went to, I grew up in, was very Southern Baptist Christian. Yeah. So very, very rules, very religious, very like it looked a certain way. You had to kind of stick in the box and be in these boundaries. And I was always a wild child, and I was always questioning. I'm like, well, why do we believe this? And like, does the Bible really say that? Or like, what is this coming from? And so to be honest, my faith has looked different. It has looked differently a lot over the years. And it's still changing and it's still shifting. And I think that's like such a beautiful it's the beautiful mystery of faith that it can evolve over time. And it can go as deep as you want it to go, right? Like, so for me, there are times where I'm like, all right, Lord, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm just going to trust in this. I can't see it, but I'm just going to trust in it and just see what happens. Yeah. And a lot of this journey has been that. So for me, I was already very familiar with it because I grew up in that sort of circle and whatnot. But also when I was younger, I was bullied a lot to the point where I just wanted to unalive myself. And I had a very supernatural experience when that happened. And that was one of the first things that was just like, whoa, this is more than a Bible, than like a physical book. This is like a spiritual thing. And I've had many of those moments over the years happen over and over again. So anytime I tend to try to run away from it, something happens and I'm like, yep. Oh. This is way bigger than I thought it was,
Yes. What do they call them? Like pivot points or core memories or something that it's like, I just can't deny what's happening here. And I'm fascinated too, that you mentioned in passing that part of the reason you chose Pedro is you wanted someone that was faith-based. And I recently interviewed Sean Quintero and he said something like, never hire a productivity coach that doesn't have kids if you have kids. Right. And that meant a lot to him. Right. Why did it matter to you that you had a mentor that had a belief system?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I don't know that I've like really stripped that apart to figure out like what it is. I maybe on a very deep level, I wanted someone that I could relate to and somebody like, I think I saw his breakthrough and what was possible, even in like his ad copy. And then in the challenge, in the 30-day challenge, back then it was all about, what does the Bible say about entrepreneurship and money? And for me, because I question everything in my life, I had been taught up to this point that, money is evil. We shouldn't be pursuing it. Jesus was poor, so we should be poor. And like, I had all these really bad money mindsets. And because I was so broke, I was like, well, this is what the church has taught me. Like, so I had seen that for someone to have that faith background and have that entrepreneurship background, I think that is what kind of naturally just kind of drew me to this, where it's like, okay, I see his breakthrough. I see it's possible. And I had also seen some other people that I really loved following at that time. Faith and entrepreneurship, they had that thing together. And so I think it was just something about that was really drawing me in. Maybe it was like that I could relate to them, that I could see their breakthrough and I wanted their breakthrough, but that's funny. That's the first time anyone's ever asked me that. Thank you.
Well, welcome to the podcast. Let's go. In the words of Russell Brunson, it probably felt like a new opportunity to you. Mm-hmm. You thought, wait, faith and entrepreneurship, faith and money, like, can they coexist? Yeah. Like, I'm at least curious enough to explore that. And let's see, right? Would you say that's accurate about your experience?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Beautiful. And so it seems like you are constantly looking for these moments of alignment in your life, right? And that you're like, I know I'm a creative. Oh my gosh, can I make money and be creative? Photography, this is so rad. This is happening for me. And you saw that curiosity with Pedro. And one of the reasons that I pulled you here on the podcast actually had to do with this idea of hustle culture and burnout and the hours that, let's just say it, that are required to figure out this game of business, right? Anyone that says that easy is lying to you, right? Or has a trust fund or something, right? That becomes really complicated. So I'm going to read a portion of the Facebook post that really spurred the invite to the podcast to get our listeners on the same ground, okay? You said, quote, about 2 months ago, I hit my millennial midlife crisis. I'm 37, still paying off debt. Not sure if we even want kids. Our goal of moving to California this month has been pushed back to only God knows when. I'm working way too much and living way too little, barely sleeping. My health has been all over the place. I've barely hit my goals for the year. My faith is being challenged, relationships changing, frustrated with the American political landscape. The list could go on. And I know it's not just me, because on TikTok, I'm seeing plenty of other millennials crashing out right now. So we're going to pause right there. Okay. So you're at a crossroads a little bit right now. This is the current post. This is a current post. So when you talk about a millennial midlife crisis, how does that look different than the typical midlife crisis we proclaim online?
I always thought that midlife crisis would happen later, like, in your 50s, maybe like mid 50s, 60s. And my husband and I have both been feeling this way recently, where it's just this uneasy tension where we really want peace and freedom, but everywhere is just absolutely chaotic and we're doing what we've been told. And so, I was like, is a millennial midlife crisis even a thing? Does that even make sense? Which I do think that the age for like midlife has gone down. So it probably is appropriate that this is like the new age to have a midlife crisis. But, I had never heard of this or seen it happen in millennials until I feel like recently, to be honest, like in the last few months, I've seen a lot more of it. I love TikTok. I'm a huge TikTok girly. And I always encourage people with it. I know they're going to change the app soon, but I know the algorithm shows you like stuff that you like, but I had started seeing more and more millennials crashing out. And the post that spurred the one that I wrote was a girl who had just turned 40. She was in her car and she is like sobbing. And she's like, I've done what I've been told I should do. I feel like I'm not doing what I should be doing. I'm not happy with my life. I don't even know where to go next. And she just like let it out. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not alone. And I started looking at the comments, and comment after comment after comment were like, you're not alone. I've been feeling this way too. There's something about this season. I feel, disappointed that this is what my life has looked like. And it was a wake up call to me where I was like, wow, it's relevant. And not a lot of people are talking about it. Not a lot of millennials.
No one is talking about it.
Yeah.
No one. And I have some theories on it, but I want to know your theories on why is it happening earlier? Why?
I don't know. I mean, I think part of it is there is a really big awakening for our generation right now, where it is like we were all taught and raised to believe a certain way. This is right. This is wrong. This is what we should be doing. And we're seeing the world around us do the exact opposite of what we have been raised to believe. And like in my case, it's often in religion and politics, which honestly, that's kind of what started my deconstruction journey to begin with. It's also kind of flowed into the business and entrepreneur world. Like growing up, I was taught having a 9-to-5 is the best thing that you could do. And you should have a full-time position with benefits, which the irony is I never had a full-time position with benefits, right? It's like I pay for my own benefits now. But it's like life looked a certain way. And so I think now for our generation, it's like, well, we've been told this would happen and this would happen and this would happen. And we've done all those things. And now this isn't happening like it was promised to us. And so I do feel like we're in this weird season of shifting for a lot of us. And I can't exactly pinpoint. I would love to hear like what your thoughts are on it, like why it's happening to us.
I'm just way open to this conversation. And for everybody listening, this is a conversation, right? Like this is just us trying to figure out why this is such a abundant feeling out there. And I knew you were the right one to talk about this with. Something that I've discovered is my oldest is 16, right? I've got a 16, an 11, and a 9, and a 6. And what I notice is that when I grew up, whether it was within my faith or whether it was within the education system or politics, that I was kind of okay operating and being obedient and doing things when I wasn't even sure why. Like why we did certain things. And I believe that with watching my own kids, that they need to know why. Why do we pray, Mom? Why do we go to church on Sunday? Why do we not watch media like this? Why do we vote? Why do they want to know why. And I was at 16, I was not asking those questions. I was just on my merry little way, right? And I just kind of assumed that was the path. And I know that generation and our however we want to group generations, that they just are not okay with, well, we don't know, but just this is kind of what's tried and true, or this is the way we've always done it. It's not a good enough answer. It is not a good enough answer. And I am a believer in God that is unafraid of the youth. He is unafraid of millennials. He, in fact, I believe, has fully prepared them to fix the world. I do believe that. And so their ability to question, I think, is a gift.
100%.
And I think their ability to say, but why? Why does it matter if we gather? And as a parent, it's really tempting to say, oh my gosh, are they losing their faith? And like, I have to over-explain this and whatever. Instead, the response is, well, what do you think? Mm-hmm. Why do you think, like, to get really, really curious with that process? And so as I watch a lot of millennials, and I'm right on the border, I'm an 82 baby, but as I watch a lot of millennials go through this kind of crisis at this age, I believe that the systems and processes that have been tried and true, government, education, and faith, are crumbling. Mm-hmm. They're crumbling. And so the things that I and my parents have largely relied on, that have actually been pretty steady and pretty like pro people and pretty honest and pretty whatever, it is not that way anymore. Yeah. And I dare say that this generation is actually much more prepared to burn it down and rebuild it than my generation or my parents' generation ever would have been. But it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. And so I really admire those who are able to come in and say, 9 to 5 feels really, really safe. But wait, is it? Safe for what? Safe for who? Like, I invite those kinds of questions. So I believe a lot of it has to do with tried and true systems legitimately are not working anymore.
I agree with that. For you. Yeah, I agree with that. And I really love that you emphasize the art of questioning in this generation. Mm-hmm. And because we were discouraged to question.
Yes.
You know, like if you questioned anything about the Bible, right? Like I talked about earlier before, like you questioned anything, like you were going down the wrong path. You were for sure, like, like it's not good if you're questioning God and you're questioning the Bible and you're questioning the prophets, right? Like it was very looked down upon, but I'm like, I learned about questioning from Jesus. Like every time he's responding to things, he's asking questions. Like, why are you mad at me about that?
Right.
And so I love that that's kind of seeped into our life of pushing back and really understanding the root and the reason why we're doing the things that we're doing. And like why that was a big thing for me was, I was encouraged and taught that I would be a starving artist the rest of my life. Like art is never going to pay the bills. You're always going to be a starving artist. And I was like, well, why? Why is that? Why does it have to be that way? And so I really started kind of questioning and pushing back even on that. And with the whole, 9 to 5 thing versus entrepreneurship thing, I was constantly asking, well, why can't I have my own successful freelance business? And why can't I get paid to do what I love? And so I love what you said about how we're willing to question and acknowledge and see things as they are. And we're also willing to put things on the line and burn it down to rebuild it. I do really feel like there is a lot of that going on, especially right now too.
Right. And is this an appropriate time to bring in the influence of AI in all of this? I know you are well versed in that. And I would dare say there are many artists that may feel like their job is on the line and their skill set is on the line. So how does this play into the role of AI? Is that going to help the millennial crisis? Is that going to be an aid to helping you guys rebuild? Or what is it going to destroy?
That's a really deep question. It's so good though. I am in the process of writing a book. Hopefully it's going to come out here pretty soon. And it's about branding in the AI era, because we have entered this era very quickly, very fast. And if you guys are listening, you can't see my background. I'm a total nerd. I've got like a little baby Yoda over here, Grogu. I've got some Lego and things like that. I grew up on, like movies, and I'm a PBS kid and whatnot. And so like, I have always thought about Terminator. I always make these jokes with Terminator, like Sarah Connor is going to be so disappointed at us because we're relying on AI so much. And I never learned nothing. Right. I'm like, have we not learned anything? And like more recently, for example, I promise I'm going somewhere with this, but like, that movie Her came out in 2013. And now we're seeing people marry their chatbots, like, and have romantic relationships with their chatbots. So I have a very love-hate relationship with AI, to be completely honest. And I truly wholeheartedly believe, and this is what my book is about, I really believe that there's got to be a balance between human creativity and AI. And there's parts of it that make me really nervous. There's parts of it where I'm like, misinformation is going to get even harder to detect because of how good AI is now with like video and images and what it can do, and like, voices and things like that. I see the benefits, but I also see the cons. So I truly believe that now in this AI era, the people who understand how to use AI and they learn AI and they're not afraid of AI, they take a general approach to it. I do believe that they have an advantage compared to people that are just like, I don't want to do anything with it, like whatever, they just kind of back out with it. But I really do believe, like, that's why on the cover of my book, I have these two hands, and it's supposed to be like the creation of Adam art piece, where it's God touching Adam, and it's the fingers between like God and AI. And that's because I really believe there's got to be this delicate balance between the two of them. So I think that in the world of creativity, I am seeing it make an impact right now, which is scary for a lot of people. But I do think it's going to get to a point where people will always prefer to work with people at the end of the day. There's something that is just in our human nature to want to connect and be with other people. And whenever I talk about this, I always show like a image of AI me versus real me. And I'm like, who would you rather get a cup of coffee with? Are you going to sit and talk to fake AI with me? Or are we have a podcast conversation like this where you get the real me, like my real heart? Like AI just it can't carry the same soul. So even though I do have my reservations and I do have some fears with AI in the world of creativity, I'm also really trusting that there will be room for balance with it, and that it will benefit the art world in many ways at the same time, because I think it's going to increase the value of human-made stuff, like human-made art, human-made crafts, human design. I really do think that there's still value for humans to design graphics and funnels and things like that. But it's shifting our landscape so fast, like so fast. Yeah.
So fast. And you're so right that how do we look at it as this is a tool more than a replacement? Maybe that's the wrong word. And it makes me think of something that Tony Robbins said. Tony Robbins said, you will always be paid for the value that you bring to the marketplace. Period. You must be able to bring value to the marketplace. And then he always brings in the God moment and says, your soul, your value as a human is undeniable and steady, and that can't be touched. But as far as your value in the marketplace, that does go up and that does go down. And so you have to plug into something that is currently valued in the marketplace. So what advice or direction would you give to creatives as they're fighting against the AI landscape? What can they continue to be valued for?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of my first encouragements would be, don't be afraid of it. Like I know some people that are like, they don't want anything to do with exploring the idea of it whatsoever. And I'm like, don't be afraid of it. At least learn it, learn what you can do in the AI world with creativity. And, I'm a Canva ambassador. I just went to the Canva conference that they had a few months ago. And even they are really trying to put more AI focused tools inside of the software and whatnot. And their whole perspective with it is that it is a tool to help you do more. And one of the most fascinating sessions that I sat in on was they were talking about data and design and how they go hand in hand, and how a previous government administration had hired an agency to come in and they were going to revamp some of the government sites to show here's the data of where our money is going to. And we could very clearly see like they were designing in a way where you would actually be able to see okay, here's how much, here's the charts, here's this. And which I thought that was really cool to begin with. I'm like, they should do that no matter the administration. They should make it a way more easier, visual approach for all of us to understand what's going on. But what she said that was kind of interesting was she was like, I hired my illustrator. He has a very specific design style. And I had him illustrate like a few icons and a few things. And they took those illustrations, they did scans of them, and they put them into Midjourney. And they taught Midjourney, like, here's the illustrative style. Now create for us all of these different things. And within hours, they had created hundreds of different illustrations in this artist style and all these different icons and things for the website. And I was like, that is brilliant. That is so cool to be able to do something like that. Now, I don't know how much she paid the illustrator, right? Like he probably would have made more money sitting there and painstakingly, of course, like done it. But now it kind of gives him the opportunity. I mean, he could still charge more for doing something like that, but it gives him the opportunity to take on more work and help more people and serve other things. And with that, depending on how he charges, he can now take more time to rest because he's using AI as a tool. So that I hope that kind of like sparks a little bit, because I know in the AI creative world, a lot of people get upset because it uses artists to like learn and like in training. There's a lot of backlash with it as well, but it's not going away. The reality is like AI is not going away. It is always going to be changing and rapidly developing. So like, I would take the opportunity to learn and see like what you can use it for and how can it expedite what you're doing so you can take more time to sit back and rest and actually like do hands-on creative stuff, because and that's something I'm sure we can talk about too, is just like the digital landscape and creativity. Like there were days that I was working 14 to 16 hour days behind my computer. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. There's just no way. And so AI is now giving us the opportunity to kind of hand off a few things and save some of that it's to be able to rest and reset and focus. So it's opening a lot of doors.
It's so true. And is it possible that it's actually a tool to bring wellness and to bring balance, right? And you think about the hustle culture and the crisis that is going on. And what I see millennials refusing it.
Yeah.
I see them saying, no, I want to work from home. I will not be in a, office mandate with a return to office mandate. Like I won't do those things. And AI is in a way giving them an edge to be able to demand more of that. And like I said, it's going to be messy. It's not going to be smooth. But I want to bring in another interview I did that you're complimenting. When I interviewed Braden Parsons, he was talking about, we literally have more time than our ancestors did. And I'm like, no, we don't. Everybody has 24 hours. And he goes, no, we literally have more time. Sarah, you need lunch. How quickly can you get lunch? In a matter of probably 7 seconds, I can order my regular on DoorDash and it will take 7 seconds out of my day, as opposed to the 70 minutes that it would have taken my pioneer ancestors to have churned the butter and like done all the things. And like, he's like, we literally have created more time. And so more is expected of us. And could that mean more wellness and more balance and more connectivity instead of just more time at work, right? Does that seem to align with what you believe AI may be able to do with us?
That is my hope for AI. As much as I see the dangers of it and like legal complications and misinformation and killing careers, right? Like as much as I can see that stuff, I acknowledge that stuff, I know that stuff is real. I do have a really big hope that this is going to help us have more, like you said, have more time to do the things that we love and to connect with our friends and our family and actually enjoy life again. Because that's a big thing for millennials, is like, we just feel like we're working and working and working and working to build a life that we can't even really live. Can't
afford and can't live. The whole bit. So in sort of your closing thoughts before we dive into some, rapid fire questions, what do you say to the millennial that is where you were at a few months ago, that is in the middle of the midlife crisis? What is your message?
You're not alone. It's okay to feel the way that you're feeling right now. It is a form of grieving in a way, because you have to replace everything that you once knew with something new. It's almost like it's okay to reset at this point in your life. That's something that I'm learning right now is it's okay to be like, this isn't working for me. It's not healthy. And it's now or never, like let's just do this. And so, I'm no expert at this. As you said, that post was very recent. I have just recently in the last few months, like really shifted things in my life to afford me more time to rest, to heal my body, to work out, to spend time with my husband and my parents. And even these very small shifts, and that's the other thing that I would encourage any millennial with, is don't go into it super big picture. Like, I'm going to do 10,000 things and it's going to be amazing. It's okay to be a little delulu, but like even very small shifts can make such a huge difference. Like time blocking on your calendar and, assigning certain hours of the day to do certain things. And that is the calendar that you live by. I recently read a book called Redeeming Your Time, and I love reading. And so I came across this book, and it's based on biblical principles with how to redeem your time. And I would even encourage, if you're faith-based, to pick up this book, because I thought it was pretty valuable. And one of the things that he was really emphasizing was a method that he learned from David Allen called the Getting Things Done method. And essentially, you have to remind yourself, you've got so many open loops in your mind every single day between what you have to do for work, your projects, your family life, your marriage, your kids, self-care, taking care of your dog. I mean, you have hundreds of these open loops going on in your mind every single day. And most people don't think about this, right? You don't think about it until you sit down and you're like, oh my gosh, I got this, and this. So what happens is a lot of people will get really, really, really overwhelmed with it. So the whole concept of getting things done is brain dump all of that into one area. Just get it all into one area, whatever it is. And then from that one inbox, you'll sort it into other things. If it takes less than 2 minutes to do, just knock it out, get it off your list. That's it. But you'll sort it and then you'll prioritize it from there. And honestly, you guys, like that's a very, very, very brief snippet of it. Ever since doing this over the last few weeks, like I'm not working 14-hour days, like I'm working less. And also I'm placing better boundaries on my business and better boundaries in what I'm doing. But I say all this to encourage you that it's not too late to press the reset button. It's totally okay to do it. And it's going to look different for all of us, right? Like what I do is not going to be the best for you. You'll figure it out. You just have to, like really have a come to Jesus moment with yourself of, is this the life that I want to keep living? That's really it.
I mean, that is the message is this the life I want to keep on living? That's the question, right? And what a brave millennial type question to ask, right? And then I love that the next question is, okay, what are my options? What are my resources that may help me trigger how to change it? And that may come through books, that may come through podcasts, that may come through mentors, that may come through some YouTube channel. And millennials are so gifted in the sense of like, I'm going to listen to this and I'm going to say, wait, does this align or is this like a swipe thing? Right?
Yeah.
Like, whatever. And I'm thinking of how many books could you read about how to manage your time? Right. And the one that you picked up, Redeeming Your Time, was the one that aligned. And you were like, yep, I'm going to go and I'm going to see a change. And sure enough, you did, and you're working less. Right. Yeah. So just encouraging those small steps. I think we have been so well fed today. Thank you so much.
This was fun.
So much fun. So in total unreasonable autonomy fashion, I have a couple of rapid fire questions I'm going to ask you at the end. The first one is so mean because you love reading, but I'm going to ask it to you anyway. Okay.
Okay.
The question is, what is a book every entrepreneur should read?
The Artist's Way. I have it. I literally have it here on my desk.
Oh my word. That's normally a really tough question for people, and you nailed it.
Right there. And the reason why most people are not going to see this as an entrepreneur book, but I promise you guys, because a big part, this could be another conversation you and I can have. I don't see a lot of people in the entrepreneurship world talk about creativity. Yeah. And it's such a crucial thing. So even though this technically isn't an entrepreneur book, I would personally categorize it as an entrepreneur book. Highly recommend. By Julia Cameron. She sold over like 5 million copies of this thing. It's a classic book. Yeah. So the way the book is designed, it's 12 chapters, and every chapter you take a week. So it's kind of like a course. It's like a course sort of thing. So you take your time going through this, but I promise you guys, this is going to change your life and your business.
Oh, that's a big promise. That's a big promise.
You can send me mean, hateful comments if it doesn't do anything for you, but I promise it's a
nice crowd here. I promise. I love it. Okay. Your second question is what is something on your bucket list that you have not done that you will do one day?
Swimming with whale sharks.
Ooh.
I really want to do that.
You know where you're headed, girl.
Yeah.
Midlife crisis for you. I love it. I love it.
But it has to be like out in the wild. I know I can swim with them at the Georgia Aquarium. I haven't done that yet, but I want to like be out in the wild.
In the wild. Yeah. We're going to hold you to it.
Very specific.
Brilliant. The last question is a little bit more heartfelt. When you think about the end of your life, what do you hope your husband says about you?
Oh, that's a good one. I love and adore my husband. So he would probably make it really funny and really funny, very dark humor with what he would say, to be completely honest. And I know he would talk about like how much I love people. I think that would probably be the thing. Is he would really emphasize like how I really love and care for people. And it doesn't matter where they're at or what they're going through. I really try to love people. I mean, I disagree with a lot of people. I disagree with a lot of people, but I still try to find a way to love them. Yeah. Right. And so I really think that he would emphasize that. And then of course he would be really funny and talk about my love for dogs and Lego and plants and like, and everything else.
As a whole person, I love that so much.
You would love him. You would love him. Everyone loves my husband. He's a great guy.
I love it. What a pair. What a pair. Well, we have been richly fed today. We have talked about so much and so much in depth that I think will be a huge benefit to our listeners. So thank you for showing up so raw and so real. We talked about Jesus, we talked about AI, and like pretty much everything in between, right? So I'm so grateful for you. Thank you again so much for being on the Unreasonable Autonomy podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Unreasonable Autonomy podcast. If you loved this episode, my guests and I would love to hear about it. Go to the show notes to reach out and let me know what resonated with you or what topics or guests you want to hear in the future. I am here to create for you. Look, I deeply admire your commitment to pushing boundaries and going after an unreasonable life. Keep dreaming big, taking bold steps, and expecting the unreasonable. For more, go to the show notes to dive deeper into the conversations that will keep you going. Thanks for being here.